If you have charge-offs or judgments on your personal credit, right now is not a good time for you to pay them off. My name is Monica Main. I'm a serial entrepreneur and real estate investor, and I'm here to share with you my tips on how to get around actually paying off your charge-offs or judgments and giving them a big fat $0 and having them permanently removed from your credit reports forever. So as you know, you have three credit reports. You have Experian, Equifax, and TransUnion. Those are the three credit reporting bureaus. And if you have a charge off or you have a judgment, many times it's probably 2, 3, 4+ years or older. As you know, these things automatically fall off your credit after 7 years. So if you're close to that 5, 6 year point, you might want to just wait till it falls off your credit. It probably does not affect your overall FICO score as much as you think it does. But maybe you're 2, 3 years into your charge off or your judgment. By the way, the types of debtors I'm talking about are the ones that they have a closed account. So if you currently have a revolving term with them and you're currently paying on this revolving term, this does not apply to those loans or these credit cards. You have to have a closed off judgment or a closed off charge off for this to work. So if you do, and say for example, you have a credit card company, maybe it's a applied card bank, and you owe them $5,000+, and it's a charge off from, say, 5 years ago. So if it's something like that, then you can get away with not paying them anything through the typical and generic going through the process of disputes. But there's a specific kind of way that you have to dispute these charge-offs and judgments to be successful in removing them off. And then if they're not successful in being removed off, there's a specific way of communicating with the creditors themselves to have them permanently removed forever. So I'm actually going to share all of these little nitty-gritty secrets with you, secrets that most people will never share with you simply because they simply do not know that they exist. So back in 2003, I had to file for personal bankruptcy. My first husband, he charged up a whole bunch of stuff under my name after our divorce. I ended up filing for bankruptcy because that's what I thought I had to do. Looking back in retrospect, I probably should not have filed for bankruptcy, but I did. So my credit was screwed up for a really, really long time, and I learned a lot about credit. I read every single credit book you can think of, watched all these different kinds of videos. Back in the day, went to seminars, and all of the things I learned were on my own in trial and error. So what I'm about to share with you is something that will help you with your credit and getting these charge-offs and judgments removed without paying a single cent, okay? So here it goes. The very first step that you're going to take is going through the dispute process with the three credit reporting bureaus, Experian, Equifax, and TransUnion. Down below in the description box, I'm going to be able to give you my free templates to where you can actually use my credit letters. And you just simply go to the description box below, go to the website, and get my free dispute letters. That's the first part of this. Now, it's not just a matter of you just simply mailing out some letters. First of all, never do disputes online with the credit bureaus. Always do them by way of physical mail, because then you're dealing with a physical person that opens up that letter versus a computer system that just basically does no investigation, and they just basically lock everything up and solidify the investigation, even though there in most cases was no investigation at all. So you always want to physically mail everything off. I know in our really lazy American culture these days, people just simply don't want to mail anything. They don't want to do any work. But this is going to be well worth it for you to take the extra time to mail these off, because things will come off your credit. So let's go into the judgments and charge-offs. So when you get a copy of your free credit reports, which you can go to the credit bureaus once a year or after you are denied credit, and you can get a free credit report from Experian, Equifax, and TransUnion once a year. You do have to write in for it. Or you could just simply go to Experian.com, pay the $40, get all three credit reports, and I strongly recommend that you print off your thick credit report, and you'll get all three credit reports, all three credit scores, and you'll know what the adverse or negative things that are impacting your credit at the very top. The easiest things to have removed off your credit are judgments or charge-offs. The reason being is because, especially if they've been old, a lot of these creditors have just long forgotten about you. They just don't care about you. And therefore, it's just a lot easier to have them removed, because when you go through the dispute process with them, they're just not going to respond in many cases. So here's how this works. You take one of the letters that you get, go to the description box below, go to my website, and for free you can download my dispute letters. You will get the dispute letter, and you're going to send one to Experian, Equifax, and TransUnion. then what you're going to do is put in a copy of your driver's license that has your current residence address. If you do not have your current residence address on your ID card or license, go to the DMV or your local, whatever government agency that does your driver's license, and update your driver's license or ID card to reflect your current address. You also should have 2 utility bills that have your current address. If you don't have utilities in your name, then the next best thing would be a cell phone bill or an insurance bill or some other bill that has your name and a current address. So you want to have 2 bills and a copy of your current ID with the current address on it, and then you're going to send that with your dispute letters to the 3 reporting bureaus, Experian, Equifax, and TransUnion. You don't have any communication with the creditor at all at this phase in the game. So you send off your disputes, and you want it to be trackable mail. And if you want to spend the extra money, have a signature confirmation or a certified letter sent out to where somebody actually has to physically sign for it. And then once they receive it, that's when the 30-day investigation time frame begins. So you literally just sit on your hands for 30 days to find out what happens with the dispute process. The easiest things to have permanently removed off your credit reports are charge-offs and judgments because they're so old in many cases for most people. But what's going to essentially happen is the 3 credit reporting bureaus get your dispute in the mail, and then what they do is they turn around and have to communicate directly with the creditor, and they have to get proof that this account is yours. So what happens is they send out communication to these creditors and say, listen, so-and-so is saying that this information is incorrect. You have to prove that these people actually had an account with you, and then they have to dig out some contract or some agreement or some kind of proof showing that you had an account. And if they don't do that within 30 days, then it completely falls off your credit as if it never existed at all, which is way better than paying them the money and then having it settled as agreed, or a closed account that's been paid years after it was actually closed or shut down on you. That's not as good as having it completely removed altogether. That's ideally what you want. So that's what we call our first round of disputes. So say, for example, you had 5 charge-offs and late or closed accounts that you wanted removed, and say out of the 5, maybe 3 fell off and 2 remain. Well, those 3 that fell off, that will drastically increase your mid-FICO score by a lot, believe it or not. But say that there's 2 more and you just want the other 2 removed. So what do you do now? Well, you have one of 2 options. You can do round 2 of disputes, meaning at the 35-day mark, you could then send another round of disputes to Experian, Equifax, and TransUnion, basically saying the same thing, but with slightly stronger language, saying that they definitely need to do a better, investigation because the information that they still have on the credit reports is incorrect. So you could do the second round of disputes. That's usually a waste of time for the most part. I'm not going to lie to you. It's usually a waste of time. You do have to, again, send it by signature confirmation or certified mail to make sure that they receive it. And then you got to wait another 35 days, 30 for them to do their investigation, and another couple days to get the letter back to you to tell you exactly what happened with the investigation. So many times it's just simply a waste of time to do a second round because they've usually established by the first round whether or not this stuff's going to permanently stay on your credit report. So it might seem like it's a waste of time to do a second round. So instead of doing the second round, I strongly suggest that for those 2 that remained on your credit report, I recommend that you then and only then begin the process of communicating directly with the creditor, not the credit reporting bureau. So the bureaus are always first. You always communicate with the bureaus first, never the creditor first, always the bureaus first. So instead of doing the second round, you would then fire off letters to the creditor, the old creditor or collection agency. And you say, listen, I have this credit thing on my account. My credit bureaus are saying that I have this negative adverse thing. This information is incorrect. Show them a copy of your credit report showing where their line item is, highlight it up, and then basically say, I would not give them a copy of your current driver's license or any of that, by the way. You only do that for the credit bureaus. You don't do that for your creditors. So you only give them the letter. The creditor gets the letter, and the creditor gets a copy of the piece of the credit report that shows their information, and then you highlight it and you say, this is incorrect information. Please show me proof that this is my account. You need to show me some kind of credit agreement, some kind of loan agreement, some kind of documentation showing that this is mine. By the way, you always want to send these letters to these creditors by way of signature confirmation, but not just any signature confirmation, certified letter, certified mail, those green little cards that they paste on the letter. You have to actually walk up to the USPS clerk and basically do a certified letter through them. And then they will have a little postcard on the back. Make sure that your personal address is on the back side, the side that's facing in the sealed envelope. The part that's outside is going to have the creditor's name and address in a box for them to sign. And so what's going to happen is as soon as they get the signature confirmation from the creditor, they will rip off that little green card and mail it back to you in the U.S. Postal Service mail. And you will have proof that they received your request to do an investigation. Now, here's the deal. Many times they'll come up with something that's half-assed. I'm going to be honest with you. It's going to be just some credit card agreement or an agreement with somebody that typed in your name, not even a real signature or anything like that. And if that's the case, then you have one of two options. You can either provide the proof to the credit reporting bureau saying this is all these jokers provided to me. This is not real proof. You need to remove these accounts from my credit report. Or my favorite way, which may or may not be, I guess, the above board way of doing it, but it works every single time, is you go back to the credit reporting bureaus, which is Experian, Equifax, and TransUnion, after 30 days. You say, listen, Experian, listen, Equifax, listen, TransUnion, here's the letter that I sent to this creditor. Here's proof that they received my request for proof of this account. And here is the negative thing that's showing on my credit, and you highlight that. I sent this to them. It shows that they clearly signed for this, but I didn't get any proof. I received no proof in the mail. 99.9% of the times, these creditors will not send it to you by way of signature confirmation. You will not receive any of this proof by signature confirmation. They'll just send it regular USPS mail. So maybe it got lost in the mail. Maybe you just never got it. But when they give you a credit card application with somebody else's typing of your name in a box, that's not proof that you opened up a legitimate account. Seriously, it's not. I mean, that would never stand up in any law, any court of law anywhere in the country. So if you go back to the credit reporting bureaus and say, listen, here's the letter I sent to them. Here is the copy of the card that showed that they received this over 30 days ago, and they didn't send me any legit proof in the mail. You don't say what you did receive. You just say they didn't send me anything. Then they have to remove it off your credit report, because if the 30 days have gone by, you've showed proof that you've communicated with this creditor, they didn't give you anything. By law, the credit reporting bureaus do have to remove it. So some of them might put up a fight. Some of them might just remove it off. But you can probably get those remaining two, if not at least one of those original five. So remember, we started off with five. You can have three probably removed off the bat. You're still fighting two. You can at least have the one of the two removed off. That in and of itself could increase your FICO score by anywhere from, say, 80 to 100 points by getting all five of those, or at least four of the five, off of your personal credit, as if they never existed at all. Again, we're not doing settled as agreed, paid as agreed, or anything like that. We are going to be removing them as if they never existed at all in the beginning, which is ideally the situation that you want if it's a judgment or a charge-off or a collection agency, which, by the way, collection agencies are the easiest to get off your credit when you start the dispute process. So that's the way to do it. Again, you want to make sure that you only communicate with the credit reporting bureaus first. That's step number one. And then if you don't get the stuff that you want off your credit report the first round, then and only then can you communicate with the creditor, the collection agency, or the bank, or whatever the company is that has that negative thing on your credit report. Then you can communicate directly with them. Don't forget your signature confirmation communication. Don't forget to have that certified letter. Don't be cheap and try to cheap out on this, because they're just going to say that they never got it. So you don't want that. You want them to sign that green card and have a wet signature in your hand. So then that way, when you go back to the credit reporting bureau saying, hey, these schmucks never gave me any proof that this account's mine, you actually have proof that they received your request for real proof that that account is yours, or that's an account that you actually opened up. So that's how you do it. That's how you have judgments, charge-offs, and collections removed off your credit report without paying a single cent, $0.00. And then just to make the commitment to yourself that when moving forward, pay your bills on time. Any new credit accounts that you decide to open, make sure that you do right by the lenders and the banks that actually give you this money as you're building your credit. Because it's not just enough to chisel off the negative things that are on your credit report. You have to start the process of starting new accounts. And when you start those new accounts, pay your bills on time. Make that commitment, and make sure that you constantly are doing right by these new accounts. And then that way you can slowly but surely increase your credit score on top of fixing your credit, also rebuilding your credit at the same time. That's the most powerful way that you can start the process of massively boosting up that FICO score. So if you like this video, give me the thumbs up. I have a lot more credit videos for you if you'd like to check out my channel. Make sure you subscribe to get the latest videos. This is Monica Mine signing off, and I will see you in the next video.